welcome back to the Beige Appreciation channel. We're joined by Tall James and his small car.
This is a 1967 Hillman Imp. I've owned the car for about 10 years now, and yeah, it's basically used to be a road car. It's now very much a race car. Races in a Pre-66 championship against all sorts, like your Minis, Anglias, Cortinas, Mustangs, and sort of normally does really well.
I mean, I see videos of it going around Goodwood recently. That's how I first see this car, and it is hanging it out.
Look at this! Oh, that's beautiful. Eating it.
Mangies.
Yeah.
It's the sort of tyres it's on like old school Dunlop cross plies. 70% of the weight's at the back, so you can really sort of start to use that as a pendulum. You swing the back of the car about quite a lot. So yeah, it does like to go sideways.
So it's rear engine then, if a lot of the weight's in the back of it.
It is, yeah. Slightly unconventional.
Basically a Porsche, man.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
So it's got an alley engine, hasn't it?
Yeah, head and block are all aluminium.
Crikey.
And so very nice and light. I can basically lift one myself, fully built, and carry it down the garden. So yeah, it's nice to work on.
I mean, it looks like a tin box. It looks pretty light. How much does it weigh?
Weighs about 650 kilos. With like a full tank of fuel and all in race trim. So
full tank, 650 kilograms. Crazy. Blooming heck.
About 115, 120 horsepower. And it's revved to sort of 9,500 revs. So
Come on!
Yeah.
Boy!
So, yeah.
VTEC, yo.
Yeah.
So when you
might have to hear a limiter bash from me, sure.
So when you got it initially, was it all gutted out, or?
It'd been sat in a barn for about 30 years, and it had all been smashed up by people that got into the barn. So there was a lot of work to do. I mean, we put new rear arches on it, new sills, and but the floor was good on it. It was a good basis for a restoration project. Everything was done at home. It was all painted at home and everything.
So the floor was good. So you decided to stance it and smash the living hell out of the ground.
Yeah. So originally we got it back on the road when I was 17, and it was my first car on the road. So I spent a year driving it every day, and then yeah, sort of went down the whole route of stancing it, so it was like an inch off the floor, had sort of 9-inch wide wheels on it. It was all good fun, but I got so bored of driving it. You'd get up at like 5 in the morning, drive to a show, you'd walk around, you're bored by 12 o'clock.
Stand around doing that. Really.
Yeah, and I grew up watching these race, so I was like, I've got to go racing in it. So
it did look sick though.
Yeah, it did.
Don't get me wrong, it did look cool.
I remember seeing it at a few of like the tuck shows and stuff. Well, yeah. Your sister's got one.
My sister's got one, yeah.
What? And your dad's had loads?
Yeah.
Jesus,
man. It's a family thing. Can't get away from it. They're good fun. I like them. They're not a mini, so that's probably their best one.
Really?
It's pretty insane. It's the same car as those photos.
These are 13-inch alley cat wheels, but with the championship I race in, we have to run 5.5-inch wide wheels. That's as wide as we can go.
Wow.
Which, to be fair, kind of suits the tyres because they don't take a stretch very well. So it keeps it nice and light as well, which is good. So,
they're pretty cool wheels as well. They literally look like they're floating.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so little contact, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that did concern me when I got them. I was like,
Are they even there?
I'm going to be putting a lot of stress through them, but no, they touch wood.
I guess the tyres can't take that much through them.
The tyres
give up before the wheels.
The tyres. If you've never driven something on historic cross-ply tyres, I urge you to go and do it because it's so much fun. You've got so much time to catch a slide, and it's amazing.
Do you go through tyres quite a lot, or?
I like to get my money's worth out of them. So a set of 4 of these is 750 quid.
Ouch.
Or it was last year. I think they're a bit more than that now. And I ran the rears down until they were basically slick. Yeah. And I thought if I carry on with these, someone's going to have a moan. So I had to throw them away. A set of these on this car because it's nice and light. It'll do a season. Yeah. So.
How long have you been racing it?
Started at the beginning of last year.
Okay.
Had no previous race experience, never done karting or anything, just sort of, the only thing I've ever really done with the car is just sit around Milton Keynes. But yeah, we turned up at Silverstone for the first round of last year, straight away in qualifying. We're like 4 seconds quicker than any of the other imps, so I was quite happy with that. And then
4 seconds is a lot in the race as well, isn't it?
Yeah, by the end of the year we'd racked up enough points to take championship overall. So
young gun coming through.
Yeah,
that's it. So,
Lightning McQueen, and the rookie.
Right, give us a tour then.
Yeah, okay.
Should we start at the front?
Start at the front, yeah.
It's under the
not a lot going on under the front, obviously with it being rear engine. It's got a few important bits,
trinkets.
such as a fuel tank and a big radiator.
Yeah, I like your little splash guard you got.
Oh yeah. Fuel's expensive these days.
Yeah,
Catch it all,
little morsel.
What's it like on fuel as well, actually? Drink it.
There's nothing there. You're barely pushing.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, but if he's at 9k going around a racetrack all day.
Yeah. When you're racing it, it's probably like 4 or 5 miles to the gallon. I think I worked it out.
How big did you say you'd bored the engine out to?
So they come standard 875cc, so just below 900. It's now a litre, so about 100cc bigger than it was. But
The tubs are massive in here as well, aren't they?
You'd think you'd have like loads of room for big wheels, but once these are lowered, there's not a lot of room. You start catching the tubs, but
they're not very high.
Yeah, I was just
they're
thinking
fat,
that.
but they're not. Not high.
Put an 11J in there, easy.
yeah.
Man, I like how you can see all the
Cylinders.
all the cylinders there.
It's got a bias pedal box, so it's got front brake cylinder and a rear.
Nice.
And then you've got like a threaded bar that goes between the 2 push rods, and you can wind more braking onto the front or more onto the back.
Whilst we're here, we were just talking about his number plate.
Oh yeah, which is purely a number plate. But if you know anything about aerodynamics, you see the way it's angled.
I love that. It's cool, man. I really like the two-tone on it as well. It wasn't originally blue, was it?
No, so this car was when it was in a barn. It was like dark brown. It was a horrendous colour with like a yellow stripe and a black roof. So a real sort of strange mix of colours, and so we put it back to what the original colour was, which is actually sort of this sort of gold, goldy bronze, quite light. And then end of 2018, beginning of 2019, I think, sort of switched it up a bit and went for the blue and the white.
It is a nice colour, man. I like the cream accents, as you were just saying.
I think next year we'll put some white wheels back on it again to sort of match the white stripes and stuff.
There's not much in it. Really,
No.
it's a race car.
Yeah, basically everything in there that doesn't serve a purpose I've tried to get rid of, because that's the one advantage of this car, because it's quite small and light. It seems to get away from the bigger stuff in the corners. Excuse that.
Doesn't even look that small if you sat like
No,
that.
it doesn't.
No.
There's like a hole in the floor.
So another one of the rules is we do have to run a handbrake. But I'd ripped all of that out. The only thing I had left was the original handbrake lever, which I got bored one day and took it to the pillar drill. So we are allowed to run sort of discs and calipers. So it's got Willwood 4 pots on the front and 2 pots on the rear. You can outbrake a lot of stuff into the corners.
What's the rules of that series? Does it have to be original engine and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, so the block and the head have to be like from the original family. You can port it as much as you like. There are limits on engine size, that kind of thing. Well, a fat pair of carbs on the side of it and make plenty of noise. I mean, this makes probably 3 times the power it did at the factory. I actually did turbo this over lockdown. Yeah. So Graf did I think it was off a Vauxhall 1.7 diesel engine, like GT15 Garrett turbo. It's really fast for about 5 minutes, and it would get really hot and overheat. So maybe another turbo engine one day. The engine that they put into these was massively detuned for the general public, but what that does allow you to do is tune them right back up again. You know, so
Just put it on the floor.
I don't need that.
I've watched them race, like when I was growing up, watching them against Galaxies and Thunderbirds and things around classic cars circuits, but I've never actually looked in the back, and the engine's sideways.
Yeah, it's proper over at.
I guess it has to be.
It's like 45 degrees over.
Because it was a 4-seater.
Yeah. They.
How do you get 4 people in the back of this?
It's crazy. Yeah. I think people were built smaller in back in the day. With the vans, they trialled them with Royal Mail, so they gave them to the posties. But the trouble is they were too quick, so they
Isn't that not a good thing? People get their posts on time sooner.
In a bush, mate, don't get it at all.
Twin Delorto carburetors. Normally these would run with a pair of 40s on, but this runs with 45s. It was something we thought we'd try. Makes a wicked noise, you know. You get a good bark off of them.
A blip, as Scotty likes to say.
Blip.
What kind of wizardry was that?
That sounds good, man.
Sounds like a motor.
as if I've just watched you start the engine from the engine bay.
What just went on?
Spent quite a lot of time fixing these things, so it's quite nice just having the starter solenoid on the back.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy whilst we're looking at the engine. You were saying earlier, you can literally just take this panel off.
Yeah.
You push the car away from the engine and it's just like...
Yeah, there's a couple of ways of doing it. Normally what I do is, if I'm just taking the engine out, I normally put, I support the gearbox with a couple of blocks of wood, back panel off, all the bolts, fuel line, accelerator cable, and wheel the engine out on the jack. I think my record was something like 11 minutes from a running, driving car.
What?
Has this got an LSD in it? Is it
Who's
solid?
creeping?
It's the monster enthusiast. Has it got an LSD in it? Is it?
Yeah, so the gearbox in this is quite special really. A 4-speed dog engagement jackknife box with a LSD, pretty nice slides.
Yeah, as we've seen. Is it solid rear axle as well, or is it?
No, it's all independent, so it's got independent trailing arms. Yeah, they're all right from factory. The only trouble is, I think they've done all the work, got them all built. Someone came along and said, "Oh, your side lights are too low." So their fix for that was just put longer front springs in. So they all came out of the factory with like front wheels like that, positive camber. And they all understeered like mad.
Yeah.
And then of course someone would go into a corner, understeer, so they'd lift off. This rear engine, back end comes around.
Yeah.
So people always used to say they handle terrible, but take an inch off the front springs, they're wicked. You know?
Yeah.
So how do you get it sitting like this? What's your suspension setup?
Ah, that's a secret.
We can't give away that knowledge.
Yeah, that's.
We're asking too many personal questions.
No, they run like a coilover on the front, so a simple, adjustable coilover on the front with a spring with the right rating will do.
Yeah.
Same again on the back, but it's a separate spring and damper, much like the back of an E36.
Hey.
So, a good car. And,
This is where they got all their inspiration.
just a bit of time setting it up, and it seems to work really well. So.
Sounds like you really know like this car, like your family's been around them forever. So
His dad didn't teach him ABCs, he taught
Yeah,
him
exactly.
IMPs.
Yeah.
yeah, literally. That's cool, man. I reckon that probably has something to do. Well, I mean, you're probably a field driver as well, but like really understanding the car probably has something to do.
Yeah.
With coming in for the first time and just
Yeah,
wipe the
yeah.
floor with everyone, man.
That's it. I mean, I've owned this car like 10 years now. There's not a lot I don't know about it. I don't think I'll ever sell this. I'll never be without it. This one's a car for life.
What's the body made out of?
It's all steel. Yeah. So in our championship, we have to run all steel panels. We're allowed to lighten them, so all the inner skins are chucked out. At the moment, it's got fiberglass bonnet and boot. Yeah, I went and did a different race, which was with a completely different organising club, and you can run what you like with them. So I obviously try and put the fiberglass on when I can. But
Got plexi windows as well.
yeah, everything. All the windows are plastic apart from the windscreen, which is laminated.
So what do you think its next iteration will be?
More power.
More power.
Oh, baby.
I mean, it'd probably be quite scary then.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to take you up the road in it and see what you think now.
Yeah,
but I mean, there's more we can do to the engine. We can bump the compression up a bit more, and just want to keep winning races overall. Because last year I won the championship overall, but I never won a race overall. The way the class system works, you can win the championship from the lowest class if you like, as long as you score in points. But this year we wanted to win a race overall, and we managed that 3 times. So
Sweet.
It's got to be somewhat quiet for racetracks.
yeah, we have to run to 105 decibels, which isn't that quiet.
No,
Because the exhaust system literally starts just below the calves and then ends there. It's actually, there's a bit of a myth where if you run the exhaust across the back, you actually get more torque. I haven't noticed much difference. It just sounds quite nice with that exhaust on. So
What's the underside and chassis saying? Did you give it like a full run through before you got it race ready and stuff? Or?
yeah, so I had it right up on its side. It's all been tidied up, and it's all got sort of new brake lines and everything. So it's all it's all good and solid.
Yeah.
And actually, when you do go racing, you have to weld a load of plates into the floor and stuff like that for the cage to sit on.
Yeah, do you have to reinforce anything else? Are there any weak points on these imps?
No, these are pretty good. The only place they do start to crack and let go is where the rear suspension bolt's on. But that's all been strengthened on this, so it's pretty solid.
You said this raced back in the day as well.
Yeah, so when we found it in the barn, like I say, it was all covered in stickers and had the roll cage and a bucket seat in it. And it turns out it was raced in the 80s. I'm actually still in touch with the guy that used to race it.
No way.
Cool.
And he follows it on Facebook, and he sends me messages every now and then.
You've ruined my car.
No, he's happy to see it racing again, I think. So, yeah.
So you're getting quite handy with this stuff nowadays. You're saying you're doing a little bit of work on other people's cars as well?
I've kind of sort of started my own thing a little bit, Ibbotson Automotive. And basically it's just sort of a bit of race prep. Yeah, so hopefully one day that'll get going and I can do that full time.
I'd stick to racing, mate. It's more hassle than it's worth.
He's going to tamper with all the competitors' cars. Disconnect a few bolts here and there.
Yeah.
It's a cool little motor, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very cool.
I really hate doing bodywork, and I've never been much of a polisher, so I don't mind doing the nuts and bolts side.
Oh, that's a good point. Where did you paint this?
I pushed it up the end of my mum and dad's garden. Nice sunny day, and started painting the inside of it first. There's something wrong with my paint gun. It was coming out really dusty, and I didn't realise. Anyway, my mate was watching me, and he come and like banged on the car, and he was like, stop. Neighbour was hanging his head over the fence. I didn't realise at the time, I perhaps should have looked, but he had all of his white bed sheets out on the line. They weren't white anymore, they were blue. You can't be doing that, you know, if you think you're doing that in the back garden, blah blah blah. So it was a Sunday afternoon, and I took it to like the local industrial estate and sort of parked it around the corner. There was a few pallets kicking about, so we jacked it up, took all the wheels off, rested it on some pallets. My mate lent me his generator. Yeah, basically an industrial estate.
That's sick. What a story, man.
There's still like blue paint on the curb where I'd mixed it.
Yeah.
Like that.
And on that guy's bed sheets as
Leave it
well.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not the best job, but I can say I did it myself, you know. I hate paying people to do stuff that I could probably do myself. And you probably end up causing yourself more hassle in the process, but at least you can say, you know, you've sort of done it yourself.
Yeah, definitely, man. Usually we try to end on some party tricks. Unfortunately, we don't have a racetrack, so do you reckon it's spin the rear wheels up? I mean, it's up to you what you want to do.
I think we need to.
Yeah. Feel like this is cheating, but we all want to see some skids, and even if we have to do this, still worth it, innit?
Yeah, still counts.
Still worth it. We were just like, no way is that it, that's a motorbike. It sounds unreal, man.
Out of nowhere. I thought we were gonna get prepped up.
I'm not ready for that.
Jamie's round back taking the rubbish out, and he's just come running around the corner with his phone out.
I think we need another one. That's too good not to get another one, I think.
I'll,
Another one?
Yeah, we'll do another one.
Yeah,
I'll
sick.
come from down there.
Yeah,
we'll have
that
the
was
slide
nice.
on.
Came in nice, man. It's so good. It's so nippy.
Makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah. This game might be smashing another, who knows? Or is he going to pull up? I think in the wet, like skids would be slow, but that was rapid.
Hey, cool.
My
much grip.
man.
Sounds madness, doesn't it? Sounds
Literally.
crazy.
The smallest car and the tallest man to like to step out.
Watch physics be redefined.
Whoa!
Yeah, sick.
Big ups, man. Thanks for coming down.
No worries, thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
it, brother.
Thank you.
This thing's cool as
Jeez.
hell.
Yeah, Sam for giving the run through. Cool motor, cool story behind it all, I think. And it's
Yeah.
decent to see it actually out there ripping, you know?
So if you have any more cool cars, give us a shout. We'll put on our best beige and let you come rip some skids. Is that a good enough outro?
That's all, folks.